Hello my dear students, this is first lecture of chemistry chapter, that is metals and non-metals. Generally the elements are classified into three groups, that metals, non-metals and metalloids. Metals are those elements which are having shining surface, solid in state and sonorous. They are good conductor of heat and electricity, and the non-metals are those elements which do not show the properties of metals. And coming to the metalloids, these are the elements which show the properties of metals as well as non-metals, are known as metalloids. So let us discuss about the properties of metals and non-metals one by one. Let's begin.
First one, the lustrous property. Luster means the metals are having shining surface. Here we can see that copper, silver, iron and gold elements are having shining surface on it. So they are having a property of shining surface, whereas non-metals, they do not have shining surfaces except iodine. Iodine is the only element which shines and it is a non-metal. And next comes hardness. Generally all the metals are hard in nature, but exceptions are sodium, potassium and lithium. These elements are known as alkali metals, and usually the alkali metals are soft in nature and they can cut by the knife easily. Where coming to the non-metals, generally the non-metals are soft in nature, but except the carbon, that carbon is very hard in nature. So state, next property is the state of occurrence. The metals exist in solid state. Usually all the elements, that all the metals we are getting in our environment are exist in the form of solid except the mercury. Here in this picture we can see that the mercury is in the liquid state, and this mercury is used in the preparation of thermometers. And non-metals, usually the non-metals are either existed in the form of solid or in the gaseous state. And the next comes the malleability of the metals. That malleability means metals can be beaten into thin sheets by hammering. In this picture you can see that a blacksmith is hammering some elements into thin sheets. And ductility means a metal can be drawn into thin wire. It is known as ductility of the metals. And the gold is having very high ductility property, that 1 gram of gold can be drawn into 2 kilometers of thin wire. And non-metals are non-ductile in nature as well as non-malleable in nature. Conductor of heat and electricity. Usually all the metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. Means that all the metals are having a property to conduct electricity through it, as well as the good conductor of heat also. If we heat one end of the metal piece, another end of the metal will also get heated. It shows that the metals are good conductor of heat. And non-metals are very poor conductor of heat, we can say. How? That non-metals does not conduct electricity as well as heat. They are bad conductor of heat and electricity. Only the exception is graphite. That graphite is a non-metal, but also it can conduct the electricity. And next comes the sonorous property of the metal. Usually metals produces sound on striking a hard surface. Here we can see some musical instruments which on striking with a hard surface they can produce the sound, whereas non-metals are not sonorous, they will not produce any kind of sound. Then comes the oxides. Usually metallic oxides are basic in nature and non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Next comes some examples for metals, that is sodium, iron, copper and gold. These are some examples of metals, and for some examples of non-metals are carbon, nitrogen and oxygen.